Section 79 of the Divine Comedy by Dante Alighieri, translated by Courtney Langdon. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Paradiso, Canto 12. The Fourth Heaven. The Sun. Intellectual Happiness. The Spirits of Theologians and Philosophers. Saint Dominic.
As soon as ere the blessed flame had voiced its final word, the holy wheel began to whirl, and in its circling had not moved around completely, ere another wheel enclosed it in a ring, and each to each matched with its own its motions and its songs. Songs which, in those sweet pipes, as far surpass our muses and our sirens, as a primal splendour surpasses one reflected from it. As when, both parallel and like in hue, two rainbows o'er a tender cloud are drawn, when Juno issues orders to her maid, the outer being from the inner born, as is the speaking of that wandering nymph whom love consumed, as mists are by the sun. And coarse folk hear, by reason of the pact which God with Noah made, to prophesy about the world, that it will not again be flooded. So of those eternal roses the two wreaths turned around us there, and so the outer with the inmost harmonized. After the dance and great high feast of song, and flaming interplay of light with light, in joyful happiness and tender love, had of a sudden and with one accord grown quiet, even as eyes do, which must close and open at the will of what attracts them. Out of the heart of one of those new lights a voice came forth, as to its where I turned, which made me seem a needle to its star. And it began,
"The love which lends me beauty draws me to talk about that other leader, for whose sake mine is so well talked of here. Where one is, right it is to introduce the other, so that, since they fought together, their glories likewise may together shine. Christ's host, which cost so much to arm anew, was slowly, timidly, and small in numbers moving behind its standard, when the emperor, whoever reigns, provided of his grace alone for his endangered host, and not because of its deserts, and helped his bride, as it hath here been said, with champions twain, through whom, because of what they did and said, the people who had strayed away returned. In those parts where sweet Zephyr's breezes rise to open springtime's foliage, wherewithal Europe is seen to clothe herself again, not very distant from the beating waves, behind which, through his long career, the sun conceals himself at times from every one. Fortunate Caloroga hath her seat, guarded by that great shield, in which the lion both subjugates and is subdued. Therein the amorous lover of the Christian faith was born, the holy athlete, well disposed toward those he loved, and toward his foes severe. And even at its creation was his mind with such live virtue filled, that in his mother it caused her to become a prophetess. After the spousal tween the faith and him had at the sacred font been held, where each with mutual health had dowered each, the lady who answered for him in a dream beheld the wondrous fruit that was to come from him and from his heirs. And that he might by name be what he was, a spirit went from hence, to give him the possessive of the one who wholly owned him. Dominic he was called, and of him as the husbandman I speak, whom Christ to help him in his garden chose. He truly seemed Christ's messenger and servant, because the first love which appeared in him was for the primal counsel given by Christ. Often was he discovered by his nurse lying awake and silent on the ground, as if he meant thereby, I came for this. Oh, Felix, of a truth his father was. Oh, truly Joan his mother, if it mean what it is said to, when interpreted. Not for the world's sake for which men now toil, following the men of Ostia and Taddeo, but for the love of spirit food. So great a teacher did he shortly make himself, that he began to go about the vineyard, which withers soon, if idle be the vintner. And of the chair, which to the righteous poor was formerly more kind, not through its own, but through the fault of him who, sitting there, degenerates, he asked not for the right to give, or 2 or 3 for 6, nor yet the income of the earliest vacancy, nor even the tithes which to God's poor belong. but leave to fight against the erring world for that seed's sake, whereof plants 24 are girding thee. With doctrine thereupon and will to apostolic sanction joined, he started like a torrent by a high source urged, and on all stocks heretical his onset smote. And ever there most strongly, where strongest the resistance was. From him there afterward flowed diverse streams, wherewith the garden Catholic is watered so, that all the fresher are its tender shrubs. If such was one wheel of the car, whereby the Holy Church, herself defending, won the civil struggle in her own domain, the other's excellence should certainly be very plain to thee, concerning whom Thomas so courteous was, ere I appeared. And yet the rut, formed by the highest part of its circumference, so forsaken is, that there where crust was now is mould. His household, which started out aright, and kept their feet upon his footprints, hath so turned around, that that which is in front now treads on what was once behind. And this will soon be seen by the bad culture's harvest, when the tares will of their loss of granaries complain. And yet I say that one who page by page should search our book would still some paper find where he could read, "What I was wont to be, I am." But from Kassala he'll not come, nor yet from Aquasparta, whence such men approach the rule that one evades and one contracts its scope. Bonaventura's life am I, of Bagnoregio, who in great positions set sinister cares behind. Here are Illuminato and Augustine, who were among the first barefooted poor, and, corded, made themselves the friends of God. Hugh of St. Victor here among them is, and Peter Manjador, and Peter of Spain, who in a dozen books still shines on earth. Nathan the prophet, and Metropolitan Chrysostom, Anselm, ay, and that Donatus, who to the first art deigned to set his hand. Rabban is here, and at my side is shining the abbot of Calabria, Joachim, who with prophetic spirit was endowed. The flaming courtesy of Brother Thomas and his discerning speech have moved me thus to celebrate so great a paladin, and with me likewise moved this company.
End of Paradiso, Canto 12.